Hey, it's JC1424 once again with another album review, and today we're going to be talking about the new album from hard rock band Halestorm, and it's called Back from the Dead. It was released on May 6th, 2022, and that was the same day as that crappy 3 Days Grace album that I reviewed last week. But how did I discover this band? From the radio. A novel concept, and that's the end of the story. You know, they had their popular singles, and I got around to listening to Vicious whenever it came out in 2018. And I remember really liking one song from that album. It was called Killing Ourselves to Live. And it was one of my favorite songs of the year. It was also like the intro music to like a NASCAR Thunder Let's Play that I did on this channel. Yeah, back whenever copyright didn't take a massive hit. Now I don't even bother. But there was also another song on the Vicious album that was about like a threesome in a hotel and like doing it on the floor. I wanted nothing to do with that song. But overall, I found the album quite forgetful. Only listened to it a couple times. Never got around to reviewing it, unfortunately. But this one, track one is Back from the Dead. It's the title track, it was the lead single, and it's the album opener. Even though I was never too crazy about it, it's just a cliche radio song about escaping hell and having a big entrance. Well, this is the big entrance. Just like The Pretty Reckless had their Death by Rock and Roll entrance, well, that's this here for Halestorm. It has a nice groove, and the guitar line in the opening verse is really cool, in my opinion. Though the chorus and post-chorus format are rather phoned in, the guitar solo is sick. In the second song on the album, Wicked Ways, basically she's just saying that she's not an evil girl, she's just bad to the bone, or something like that. Many things about the song intrigue me, actually, but they aren't going to be caught at face value. Like the way that the drums make cut time in the verses, but then it's a lot slower in the chorus to help emphasize those chords. And also at the beginning, in the background, there's like a violin and a guitar melody that changes to these smooth backing vocals by the huge ending that the song has. But I got my wicked ways. But I got my wicked ways. Track 3 is Strange Girl, and it ties right into the last song in my opinion, as Lizzie stands up for herself to say that she is who she is, and no one's gonna change her to be in her life, if you're catching her drift. But it's the first song with the dynamic of beauty and elegance, but that's kicked right out the door for some grit whenever that chorus comes around, and a few totally rad drum fills, I might add. But the guitar tone, in my opinion, is similar to When Angels and Serpents Dance, which is like a POD album that's banned in my own damn country for some reason. And then there's like the lyrical phrasing in this song, and it reminds me of Follow You Home, which is like a stupid Nickelback song that I ironically like. But her voice in this one as well is just gorgeous under everything in the second half. It's a feminine thing that just really works in music, in my opinion. So you can tear me straight to hell, you can crucify my name, you can throw me to the walls, you can burn me in the flame. The fourth song on this album, Bright Side, definitely represents what this album is all about. You know, keeping faith and pushing through the struggles of depression, because that was the big problem like a few years ago when everyone was just locked inside and, you know, there was no live music anymore. And for these guys, they were just kind of writing music about that, or, you know, right after that process. But this guitar lick is a tune from a song that I can never remember the name of or who even wrote it. But it's a good freaking riff though, and that's why. I figure it might be like Led Zeppelin or something. But then this bridge comes in, and the bass is so beefy beneath what is another solid solo. That's Halestorm for you. It'd be a hard rock band, and they specialize in all the stuff that they're supposed to. But for just a second, there's an awesome synth in the bridge, and I just think the song could have used a bit more of that. Scared to death, terrified, this is it, welcome to your best life. Breathe it in. Track 5, The Steeple, was the second single, and it continues on the sentiment of this album, almost like a victory song. Everyone wakes up one day, and it's not sad days anymore. They go out to the big show, hanging out with everyone, and they're all gathered together, and they're just taken back what they've been missing out on for so freaking long. And that's what the point of it all is. It's got a brilliant guitar line from the get-go, and the chords just pull me in so much more on this song. There's a real powerful vocal effort in the chorus, and overall there's this a cappella experience, and it's just fantastic.
It stopped raining in my head today. I finally feel like myself again.
The main focus on track 6, Terrible Things, is on the lyrical approach and the singing style. Lzzy Hale kind of muses about the evil side of people and how they are outside of those selfish and awful moments. Because it can be an impact of harder times, and they're just not like that, under so much stress. And that's kind of what it was like, I guess, a few years ago, if you think about it. It's mostly sung with a low, mystical voice to not bring unnecessary energy to the idea that she's trying to express here. It is a slower acoustic song, but of course it gets all that extra orchestration and production just to carry it a bit further.
I see a sickness in a world on its knees. It will take what you love like a thief.
On the 7th song of the album, My Redemption, the phrasing of lyrics and the delivery is very much all over the place in the verses, but it's not bad. It has a great groove once you get into it. I wouldn't say it's fast, more like angry and strong. It's more of the same, following the album's theme, of course, but again, the drum fills are just fucking amazing. I just wish they'd expand on some of the effects they put on the guitar. They kind of tease us.
I can survive it, I'm stronger than this. Ain't put a weapon that could kill me. Don't need saving, save myself.
Track 8 is a gnarly change of pace, and this filthy bass work also that we haven't heard up until this point. I'm not sure why, but it rocks. And what I really love is the way they play around with the guitar, like I literally just asked. The stellar chord progressions too towards the end, and there's so much more attitude to her voice, and she's saying, "You can kiss this bitch's ass." And we are heading in a peculiar direction right now, though. But maybe it's necessary to not repeat shit.
It's fragile, like a bomb. You better suck it up. You're never gonna shut me up.
I Come First is the 9th song of this album, and it has this riff that makes me think of this Seether song with this creepy music video in the forest. Anyways, aside from that, it's back to a regular song type. It's just a bit more punchy than other songs on this album have been, I guess. I'd say that attitude is still there, just executed with more aggression. And I love how much of a woman power song this is. She don't carry the relationship, and she demands respect, as she should.
I'm not your servant, I'm not your slave.
Psycho Crazy is the 10th song on this album, and I think this is the best song on here. It reminds me of Rihanna's rock phase. Not sure why that's the first thing that just came to mind, but like she has a song called Shut Up and Drive, and now you know what I'm talking about. But mainly because the bass sounds so mean. I don't even know what they did to it. But there's so much calm at the beginning, and then it just bursts into the flames once you get to that chorus. The chords are so bad, and the bridge comes around, it's wild and sassy, and then yet again the drums tear shit up just right.
In my street jacket are needles and pins, but don't you forget that you started this shit. If you want crazy, I'll give you psycho.
Oh yeah, that's right. Psycho Crazy was the second to last song of the album. The final song on this album is track 11, Raise Your Horns. Like raise your fingers like really high in the air. And, I think knowing the context helps. Instead of just assuming it's a corny ballad with cheesy lyrics, I think it should be exempt from that thought, in my opinion. This one was essentially made to be played live for everyone who lost friends and family through COVID, and they never got to see that next show. So, you had all these plans for so long, not whether it was for Halestorm or another band or just to go somewhere and do something, and you finally get there, and you're there having this connection with these people, and they all have like the same thought, and having it together in that moment. And that's what it's all about, being able to relate with these people. And it's not overdone by any means, like that Terrible Things song, which I still thought was pretty great. This one is just so simple. It's just a good old piano and Lizzie Hale singing her heart out, and it's easy imagery for the listener. I can imagine whenever I'm listening to the song, just being there at the live show and having my horns in the air. I'm trying to lean back and keep my fingers in the air. But yeah, you get the point. And so this is another one of my favorite songs of the album. But my final score for the new album by Halestorm, titled Back from the Dead, released on May 6th, 2022, is a 95%, which is an A-, borderline solid A territory. But I mean, I really didn't think whenever the Pretty Reckless released the Death by Rock and Roll album that Halestorm would have topped them anytime soon. Because I heard Vicious, that was my first time listening through an entire album of Halestorm, and it's just, I wasn't wowed. But this one, I was wowed consistently. Like, even the songs that, you know, they weren't the best thing there, they were still full of like all kinds of attention to detail, and they didn't just sound exactly the same. They had a different purpose. And see, you can say the same things about the Pretty Reckless with their album. It was still it was very emotional as well, because their producer died, and that's what the album was kind of centered around. Yeah, I got to get this album on CD. I got to get that one on CD. I need to get many albums on CD. Look at all these albums I don't have on CD that I want to get. I think I'm starting to ramble now. Thanks for watching this video. See you next time. That's that, and album review over.
So raise your horns, raise them high, let them soar.